If you're looking for best practices on how to optimize Google Analytics for your institution, this video is for you. Hi, I am Fatan, and today we're diving into 10 Google Analytics for best practices for your college and university. Let's get started. Data retention. The first thing you should do in Google Analytics 4 is change the data retention settings. Now, by default, GA4 keeps your data for only 2 months. Honestly, I'm not sure why Google made this the default option, but for higher ed institution, this isn't practical. Think about what data your institution needs. You will want to analyze application trends, enrollment campaigns, and student engagement over an entire academic year, and sometimes even longer. So 2 months just doesn't cut it. And here's how you can fix it. You go to your admin panel, then under data collection, you will find data retention. Then you change this from 2 months to 14 months. And you click Save. This change allows you to keep data longer, so you can review yearly trend, compare performances, and make better strategic decisions based on a full dataset. But don't forget, this change won't apply to data collected before you update this setting. So the sooner you do this, the better. Next, let's talk about filtering your institution's internal traffic. This step is critical for you to ensure that your analytics reflects real user behavior and not the activity from your staff, faculty, or on-campus devices. If your internal traffic isn't filtered out, you will end up skewing the data. For example, you will have cases when staff repeatedly test your admissions portal or update web pages. In these cases, GA4 will treat this as if it's coming from prospective students. And that's not the data you want to analyze. So you need to filter this type of traffic out. And here's how you can do that. On the admin panel, you need to go to Data Streams, click on your specific data stream, then scroll down under Configure Tag Settings. You need to click Show More. Then you will find Define Internal Traffic. You click that, you either use an existing filter or you create a new one. So we're going to use an existing one. You specify its name. In this case, it can be Exclude Internal Traffic. You'll leave the traffic type value internal because that's the default naming convention for GA4. Then under IP addresses, you need to specify the exact IP addresses that you want to exclude for your data reporting on GA4. In this case, you will go with IP address equals to, let's just make up an IP, 202.101.1.2. Then click Save. However, this is not done yet. In order for this to activate, you need to go back. Then under Data Filters, you need to find the filter that you just created. Click there, then scroll down and click Active, and click Save. And then click Activate Filter. From this point on, any traffic from the IP addresses you added will be excluded from your reports. On a side note, filter traffic won't appear in the debug view. So if you're testing something, you would need to use a different IP address or a VPN that isn't listed in your internal traffic rules. Now let's talk about web streams. When you set up GA4, you need to define your data source, or known as data streams. Now for colleges and universities, the question that I am asked very frequently is whether they need to use a single web stream or multiple web streams across your subdomains. And here is the rule of thumb. If your subdomains serve different user groups, like one site for prospective students and another one for alumni, you should create separate data streams. These user groups have completely different goals and behaviors. Tracking them in the same stream doesn't make any sense because their journey don't intersect. However, if your subdomains are part of the same user journey, like a main website that targets future students and an admissions portal, you should use a single web stream. This setup ensures GA4 tracks the entire journey as your future student moves from one subdomain to another subdomain as part of your main website. To consolidate into a single stream, all we have to do is use the same measurement ID across all relevant subdomains and enable cross-domain tracking so you can measure the activity of a single user as they move on from a domain to a subdomain. This choice boils down to whether you need to see user behavior within one specific funnel or across different ones. So make sure you set up aligns with your institution's goals. Now let's go over how to remove unwanted referrals. This is crucial for ensuring your reports show accurate, attribution, especially if your institution offers online transaction like application fees or event registration. Now, when a user is temporarily redirected to a third-party payment gateway like PayPal, Stripe, or an event site like Eventbrite, and then they return to your site, GA4 might attribute that session to a payment gateway or that event site instead of the original traffic source. So to fix this, you need to do the following. Go to your admin panel and under data streams, after you click on your specific data stream, you need to go to configure tag settings. Then you need to click show more. Then click on list unwanted referrals. And here's where you need to specify all third-party services that you use, such might be PayPal, Stripe, or any other site that you want to exclude as being recognized as referral. So you need to choose the match type. In this case, it might be referral domain contains, and paypal.com, stripe.com, or any other site that you want to exclude. Then click Save. This is especially important for accurately tracking the performance of your campaigns. For example, you might have cases when a student comes to your main site, they click Apply Now, and then they are sent to apply.myuniversity.edu, and then they are sent to a payment processor. On these cases, you need to be able to tell where that application came from. So you need to list every single domain that goes between those steps as unwanted referrals. However, this won't fix your spam referral traffic. So if you're dealing with bots or irrelevant sources, you will need to identify what that spam traffic looks like, and then add those domains as your unwanted referrals. Next, let's talk about reporting identity. This setting determines how GA4 stitches together user sessions across multiple devices and platforms. Now, for universities, this can be critical for understanding the full student journey, from exploring your programs on a mobile device to submitting an application on desktop. Now, GA4 offers 3 reporting identity options that you can find under your admin panel, data display, scroll down, and then you will find reporting identity. The first reporting identity that you have is blended. This is where GA4 combines user IDs, device data, and modeling data for the most comprehensive tracking. Then you have observed method. This is where GA4 uses user IDs and device data only. You have no modeling here. Now, for most higher education institutions, the default blend settings works best because it provides the most accurate view of multi-device behavior. For example, a student might start researching new programs on their phone, return to the tablet to read more, and then complete the application on desktop. Blended identity ensures that these actions are tied together as one unified student journey. This setting doesn't change the raw data in GA4. It only affects how the data is calculated and displayed in your reports. So if you switch to device-based and don't like the results, you can always change it back without losing any data. Now let's take a look at Debug View, one of GA4's most powerful tools for testing and troubleshooting. Debug View lets you verify that your data is being tracked correctly before it shows up in your reports. Now this is especially useful for colleges and universities who are implementing tracking leads, applications, event registrations, or any digital marketing campaign. Imagine you have just set up tracking for your application form. If the tag doesn't fire properly, you won't collect the data. You need to know how your application form is performing and optimize your marketing efforts. So Debug View helps you catch these issues before they impact your reporting. And here's how to use Debug View. Under Admin Panel, you click Data Display, you scroll down, and then you click Debug View. At this moment, you won't see any interactions being reported here. That's because we need to enable Debug View. And to do that, we need to go to Google Tag Manager, click Preview, specify our website's URL, and click Connect. Now Debug View is enabled. So let's just click some pages here. Scroll down a little bit, click Request for Information form, and start testing it. So reporting data in debug view might take some seconds, but eventually you will see all the interactions that you did on your website under this debug view. You can click on any of these events here and analyze what data are being sent to GA4. Now, debug view isn't perfect and can have occasional glitches, but it is an essential tool to ensure your tracking is accurate. And I would recommend you use it every time you make updates to your GA4 configuration. Let's talk about customizing reports. The default reports in GA4 are useful, but are not built to meet the specific needs of your institution. Now, to get the most out of GA4, you will need to create custom reports tailored to your institution goals. And here's why that's so important. Your admissions team might want to track application trends, while your marketing team needs to measure the performance of their marketing campaigns. GA4's default reports are very weak and won't give you this level of insight. Custom reports let you focus on the metrics and dimensions that matter most to you, like tracking engagement with your program page or understanding how your blog is contributing to your inquiry generation. So let's create a custom report that shows how RFI forms are performing on different pages across the site. In order to create those custom reports, we need to go to Explore and choose one of the exploration methods here, which are based on custom reports. So we're going to choose freeform in this case. We're going to go to rows, and instead of the city, we're going to choose page location. And before choosing it, we need to define it as a dimension here. So we go on the left, we click plus, and we search for page location. Here we have it. We confirm. Then we drag and drop it under city, and we remove the city. So now we have all the pages that have contributed towards a specific action. However, we only need to know how many times an event has been generated. So we scroll down, and instead of active users, we remove that and we choose event count. We scroll down, and under filters, we choose event name. Then we only match generate underline lead. We click apply, and here we have all the pages that have contributed towards generating a lead on a specific device. If we want to go a step further and want to know which channels have contributed towards generating this lead, we're going to need to go to dimensions, search for default channel, click confirm. Then we need to actually drag and drop the column here, remove the device category, and do it again. And here we have them. Those specific pages have contributed towards generating a lead. So let's rename it so we can better reference it in the future. So in this case, we're going to write lead generation by page and source. So we can write the exploration name here as well. And this is how you generate a custom report in GA4. Let's move on to properties, which define how your data is collected and organized in GA4. For universities, the big question is whether to use a single property or multiple properties for your digital ecosystem. And here's what I recommend. If your campuses or websites share similar goals, like tracking prospective student journeys, you should use a single property. This setup consolidates all your data, making it easier to analyze trends across your entire institution. But if you have separate campuses or websites with distinct audiences and goals, like for example, a main university site versus a specialized research facility site, it's better to use multiple properties. This ensures that your data and reporting stay focused and relevant to each user group. A single property works very well if you want to track how students move from your admissions page to financial aid and then to housing, inquiry, and application. But multiple properties are ideal if you are managing different user groups. For example, if you are a nursing school, you may have a university hospital website separately from your academic site, since these serve entirely different audiences. Then let's talk about tracking the right events. In GA4, events are the building blocks of your data. For universities, this means capturing key interactions that align with your institution's goals, like form submissions, applications, or campus visit signups. And here's the mistake many institutions make. They try to track everything, every click, every page view, and every minor interaction. This can lead to overwhelming data sets that are hard to analyze and might even hit GA4's sampling limits. Instead, I recommend focusing on 3 groups of events. Admissions, so you track the conversion journey from visits to your program pages to RFI and application form submissions. Then you have marketing events, where you measure campaign performance, blog engagement, video views, and event registration. Then you have alumni events, where you measure donations and event signups. Then you have website engagement, where you track outbound clicks, downloads, and scroll depth, or any other event that actually has to do with the overall user experience. To set up event tracking, I recommend you use Google Tag Manager to configure specific triggers and events, but we'll cover that in a separate video. As a pro tip, avoid tracking events with too many unique values, like user IDs or any other data, which can lead to high cardinality issues. This happens when your reports get cluttered with other roles because there are too many unique entries to display property in your GA4. So by focusing on the right events, you will get clean, actionable data that helps you make better decisions for your institution. In GA4, quality is over quantity. Now we have conversion funnel tracking. This feature in GA4 lets you visualize the steps prospective students take on your website. This helps you identify where they drop off and where you can improve. This is especially useful for monitoring RFI submissions and the application process. Here's how it works. A conversion funnel breaks down a user's journey into stages. For example, a prospective students might follow this ideal path where they view program page, start to fill out an RFI, they submit the form, they visit your application page, they start to fill out the application form, and finally, they submit the application. With GA4's funnel exploration tool, you can see how many users move through each step and where they stop. And here is how you can set up. You go to your Google Analytics 4, and under Explore, you will find Funnel Exploration. You click there. Then you have the steps. You click Edit, and you have a pre-default workflow of the steps, which basically can be very different from what you currently use. So we're going to go back and delete all the steps that they are present in this template. And we're going to choose the first step of this example might be visiting a degree page. So I'm going to write visit degree. The condition is where the page location is basically contains degrees. So I'm going to choose apply. Now the next step will be to submit an RFI. So I'm going to click step, submits RFI, where the event name contains generate underline lead. On this case, it needs to be exact match. So we're going to choose exactly matches generate lead. Then the final step would be to submit an application. So we're going to add a step, submit application. We're going to choose event name. We're going to write application. Now your GA4 might have different event names, so you might need to consult your web developer or whoever has worked with setting up conversion tracking on your website, and you need to choose the event that actually tells you how many applications you have received. So you're going to click admission submitted. This is exactly match. And we're going to click apply. And we're going to click apply again. So on the right side, we're now going to see the funnel. So right now we have 5.9% conversion rate from visiting a degree to submitting an RFI. And then out of these, 13.5% submit an application. Now, conversion funnel tracking is invaluable for identifying bottlenecks and improving your processes. For example, If students are abandoning their applications midway, you can address that by simplifying the form or adding helpful instructions. Or if you notice a sudden drop in the number of inquiries, then you might need to check if your RFI forms are working properly. That wraps up our 10 best practices for using Google Analytics 4 at your college or university. By optimizing your GA4 setup, you will better understand your audience, improve your campaigns, and make better data-driven decisions. Now it's your turn. Which of these practices do you think will have the biggest impact on your institution? Or if there are any GA4 tips you have discovered that weren't on this list, please drop a comment below and let me know. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more insights tailored to higher education. See you in the next video.